Now to the story that is sending waves of astonishment through the sports world. The one-time star tight end for the New England Patriots, Aaron Hernandez, was found dead in his prison cell this morning on the same day when his former teammates from the Patriots were at the White House celebrating a Super Bowl win.
2012 was the pinnacle of Aaron Hernandez's existence on this increasingly crazier world we all happen to share. The star NFL tight end signed a 5-year contract to the tune of $40 million, caught a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, and got engaged to his high school sweetheart, who then gave birth to his first child. The following year, he was charged with murder and dropped from the Patriots roster. He went from king on the hill to sleeping in a cell. Aaron Hernandez was born on November 6, 1989 in Bristol, Connecticut, into a life of turmoil. His father, Dennis, was a janitor, and his mother, Terry, a secretary. When Aaron was just 6 years old, he was forced to perform oral sex on a teenage boy, which carried on for years. He was also frequently beaten by his alcoholic father, oftentimes showing up to school and practice with abuse signs worn on his face and body. He grew up playing basketball, but his focus turned to football his senior year in high school, becoming a stud immediately. That same year, he endured his father's unexpected death. Despite his father's abusive tendencies, Aaron revered his father. His father's passing left him angry at the world. He had lost a father figure who held him accountable his entire life, and it was at this time he would turn towards the life of crime. Though he had many different offers, he committed to the University of Florida. In April 2007, before his first football game, police were called to a local bar in Gainesville, where Aaron had punched the manager, busting his eardrum in a dispute over the $12 tab. In typical fashion, the town's local hero, Coach Urban Myers, arrived at the crime scene to save his star athlete from felony battery charges, unintentionally enabling Aaron to go on and murder several people. Then again on September 30th, 2007, Hernandez was among several Gator football players interviewed by investigators after a shooting outside a nightclub that left 2 men critically wounded. Corey Smith was struck in the head, while Justin Glass was shot in his right arm. Hernandez was among many of the Gator football players that had been in an altercation with the victims earlier in the bar that same night, yet no one has ever been charged. Football season would start, and Hernandez would become a well-respected tight end his freshman year, while his team went on to win the national championship. He continued to overachieve on the field his sophomore year. Then in 2009, he became an All-American, winning the national championship for the second time, breaking a school record with 111 catches at the tight end position during his 3 seasons playing college football, and received the John Mackey Award as the nation's best collegiate tight end. So in 2010, he opted out of his senior year and declared for the NFL draft. Late in the 4th round, the New England Patriots, recognizing his talents and willing to take a chance, decided to draft the exceptional yet troubled young star. There were many concerns over multiple failed drug tests and his connections to gang activity, or he would have been drafted much higher. It was around this time his mother was brutally attacked by his stepfather with a knife, leaving her with a 3.5-inch laceration on the face and multiple wounds to her arms. When the 2010 season began, Hernandez was the youngest active player in the NFL. Upon first arrival, he had become a very dynamic and effective part to the New England Patriots offense, setting a team rookie record at the tight end position with 45 completed receptions. The Patriots would finish the season with an impressive 14-2 record. In his second season, he helped the Patriots make it to the Super Bowl, where they lost to the New York Giants 21-17. In 2012, Hernandez signed a lucrative $40 million 5-year contract to the New England Patriots. Although that 5-year deal nor the 2013 season would ever come to fruition for Aaron Hernandez.
We're tracking breaking news in a local homicide investigation surrounding now former New England Patriots player. Ex-Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez is charged with first-degree murder.
June 17, 2013, the body of Odin Lloyd was found in an industrial park in North Attleboro, Massachusetts, 1 short mile from the home of Aaron Hernandez. He was eventually linked to the victim through his fiancée, whose sister was dating him. All the evidence began pointing towards Hernandez as the main suspect. He made failed attempts to cover his tracks, like destroying his cell phone and deleting surveillance video from his home, but the footage was recovered, showing him come back home with a gun that very same night. The police then found identical bullets from the crime scene in one of Hernandez's cars and condos. Eventually, the police had enough evidence to issue an arrest warrant. Before they could arrest him, he transferred a large sum of money to a male high school classmate who he was allegedly sexually involved with. On June 26, 2013, Hernandez was arrested and charged with the first-degree murder and 5 weapons charges. It was later discovered that there could have been 2 separate motives, one being Lloyd knew of Hernandez's sexuality and was reportedly threatening to tell his fiancée. There was also an altercation over Lloyd speaking with some of Hernandez's enemies at the nightclub. So with the assistance of 2 friends, Hernandez lured Lloyd to the industrial park where he was shot multiple times, leaving him for dead. He was also under investigation in relation to a 2012 drive-by shooting in Boston that took the life of 2 men. In May 2014, charges for the 2 murders were brought against him. Then on April 15, 2015, he was found guilty of the first-degree murder of Odin Lloyd.
Guilty of murder in the first degree.
Madam Foreperson, by which theory or theories, deliberate premeditation and/or extreme atrocity or cruelty?
Extreme atrocity or cruelty.
Under Massachusetts law, he received a life sentence without the possibility for parole. At this time, he was becoming, let's just say, very, very close with certain male inmates from within the facility he was being housed at, something he had been doing secretly his entire life.
In a jailhouse interview with Howard, Kennedy said he had an intimate relationship with Hernandez in prison.
One day we were walking in the cell and he's like, just lay down and close your eyes, shut off the light. And he's like, you know, and that's the first time.
How much of a dark secret was this for him to carry around as a burden?
I could tell once he started opening up to me and talking to me every day, I could just see it in his eyes. Like he was getting happier. He was just being able to confide in someone. Something that he couldn't talk to anybody about.
Then in April 2017, he was acquitted on the 2 counts of murder from the 2012 drive-by shooting.
Do you find the defendant not guilty or guilty of the offenses charged?
Not guilty.
Unfortunately, on April 19, 2017, a few short days after being acquitted of the 2 murder charges, he committed suicide. 27-year-old Hernandez was found hanging from a bedsheet in his Massachusetts state prison cell. He had given a suicide note to one of his boyfriends from within the facility and left one for his fiancée and daughter, admitting to his bisexual orientation. In late 2017, it was discovered that Aaron Hernandez suffered from an advanced stage of CTE, a severe degenerative brain disease that had been linked to head trauma, common in contact sports. Currently, there isn't a test for the disease and can only be diagnosed upon autopsy.
So it's alarming. A guy 27. I knew Aaron Hernandez. You know why? Because Urban Meyer's a good friend of mine. I saw him recruit him from Bristol, Connecticut, an All-American. I saw him at the University of Florida at practices. And to think that this is a game that we encourage young people to play, and the end result was that. I'm conflicted. I really am. It's hard, Nick. Like it's really hard. But the benefits and what it taught me as a young man. I used to break into the stadium and run the stadium steps in my hometown. And now that stadium's named after me. And you know the reason why, Nick? It's not because people like me. Because there was a time that it wasn't nice to be associated with Chris Carter. But the reason why my name is on that field is because of damn football, not nothing else. It's because of football. You know the reason why my name's on this show? I ain't got no great broadcasting school. No. It's because I played football. That's the reason why. So most of the good things in my life, they come about because of football. So it's not good for me to see a young man who was trying to live out the same dream that I lived out, and for it to end like that. And for football to be some type of cause that people would have to be concerned about football players as we get older, that we might become violent, that we have a tendency to hurt other people.